All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to today's morning power up call, my friends. This is going to be one to remember. This is going to be one I'm going to link back to you guys over and over again. This is going to be one that I expect you will probably want to rewatch multiple times. So, guys, this is going to be great. It looks like we've got audio. You guys can hear me. I've got ones in the chat, so we're good to go. If people in there say like they can't see it or whatever, make sure to just tell them to refresh. They should be able to see it right here in this channel. So, guys, we are ready to go. We've got a lot of new people in the campus. If you've joined the campus, if you're in the copywriting campus and you've just joined the real world and it's been less than a week, put me or put new in the chat. I mean, you see a lot of ones. You guys are telling me that it's working, but if you are new to the campus, you've only been here for less than a week, put the word new or me inside of the chat. I'm just curious how many new people we have here and how many normal people we have here. So let's see, new, me. Yeah, okay, cool. Lots of new people. Excellent. A lot of you guys are probably wondering how you're going to start making money with this. What's the best path to go from zero to making a lot of money? How to get to that 10K a month mark. That's the number that everyone wants to get to. That's where your life really super starts to change. So that's what I'm going to lay out for you guys today. I'm going to give you guys a complete roadmap for how to go from basically being brand new within a week, like everybody who's posting inside the chat, to making 10K a month as quickly and efficiently as possible. And I'm going to quickly apologize. My neighbors are doing a little bit of construction. So if you hear like a drill or whatever, like, don't worry, that's just life being normal. So let's dive into this process, because there is a process. There is a way to unlock it, right? This isn't just a luck thing. This isn't like there's some sort of like copywriting or wealth like police that swoop in and be like, okay, only 5 people can be successful today. The path is open for anybody who is willing to put in the work to make it happen. And I'm going to show you what that path is. And I'm going to show you how to use the campus to speed up the process even faster. Like I went through the process personally. I taught myself how to do copywriting and got involved in all this and figured it out and tried and did a whole bunch of trial and error. And I made a bunch of mistakes and I made it all the way to the top, right? It was fantastic, right? There were a lot of mistakes I made along the way. There was a lot of lessons that took me too long to learn. I'm going to help you guys see how to avoid some of those mistakes and learn those lessons in a tenth of the speed because of the resources inside the campus. So let's dive in. The very first thing you have to understand, if you want to make money quickly and easily inside of this campus, is you have to dispel the myth of quick and easy money, right? There have been a lot of unethical marketers out there who have, for the longest time, sold the public on the idea of, make 10K a month while sipping pina coladas on the beach, et cetera, right? So many people have sold the idea of easy money, and that's simply just not the case. Every so often, you'll have things like a crypto pump or something like that where you can make money without providing much value. But those things are very quick. Those things are very limited. And they don't really exist for very long in the real world, right? And they're double-edged swords. For everyone who makes that quick, easy money, there's a whole bunch of people who lose a lot of money really quickly and easily, right? So the idea, if you're here and you're just looking for the easy path, that is actually the hardest and the slowest path to ever make money. If all you do is just try to find the easy option or the fast way to do things, it actually, counterintuitively, that path always takes longer in the long run, right? For example, I don't know how many of you have ever tried to do a cut, right? Like with your diet. If you try and do some sort of crazy extreme diet where you only eat 5 calories a day or something like that, and you're trying to get results as quickly as possible, like within 2 weeks or whatever, those typically don't work. And it takes you years and years of trying random stuff like that before you ever are successful, if you're ever successful in the first place. Usually on a cut, the best thing to do is to set up a really nice sustainable deficit and maintain that for a very long time. That's the way to win, right? And that's counterintuitively, while it doesn't look as fast on paper, it's actually faster in reality. So with the path I'm going to lay out for you guys, while it might sound difficult, while it might sound like it might take some time, and it certainly will take time, and it certainly will require you to put in a lot of hard work, it is actually the quickest and the easiest way to make money. It's a counterintuitive principle, but you have to resist the slave mind. You have to resist the urge to look for the easy path, the easy button. Instead, ask yourself, okay, what is the path here that is going to guarantee my success? What are the actions I must take now to make my success as a copywriter inevitable? If you ask yourself those questions, not only will you be more likely to make success and it will become inevitable, but it's also the fastest way to actually develop your skills and earn enough money to hit that 10K a month mark. And this is something I want you guys to appreciate the magnitude of this. 10K a month is like roughly 10K, 20K a month. That's like how much a doctor makes, right? And for a doctor to be able to provide enough value to be paid that amount of money, and we can talk about the economy and inflated healthcare costs all day long. But at the end of the day, they go and study for about a decade in school. They go through a lot of rigorous stuff. There's a lot of hands-on residency and stuff like that. They spend a decade developing the skills to be paid that amount of money. Right now, I'm going to show you how to reach that same level of value in the world, but much faster. But you have to realize that like this is a pretty significant undertaking that you're attempting. You're attempting to go all the way to the very top of the income bracket from nothing. And you have to understand that the reason you do not have the money you currently want is because you do not have the ability to provide value. Right now, you can only help a certain number of people with a certain amount of things. And right now you're being paid accordingly, right? You are paid in accordance to how many people you can help and how much you can help them. So if you want to make 10K a month, you have to become the guy who is capable of providing $100,000 in value to a business a month, right? You have to reach that level to be deserving of that. So I'm going to show you the path to become that guy, the copywriter who is worth $10,000 a month, who is worth more than that to his business, the businesses that he works with. So, but the first thing is you have to completely change your perception around this. You have to change this, throw away the idea of easy money, and instead focus on the how do I become so valuable that I cannot be paid anything less than $10,000 a month. That's the question you want to ask yourself. So here's the path. And coincidentally, it coincides exactly with the bootcamp. The bootcamp is laid out to be the fastest and most efficient path for you to go from zero to making 10K a month. And let me tell you how to go through the bootcamp and how I would approach it if I was a student. So the first thing you need to do, there are sort of two paths that have to be developed at the same time. You have to actually develop your skill and understanding of businesses and how to write copy. The skill of copywriting is something you need to develop, but there's also a whole lot of character traits and mentality and mindset you have to develop at the same time. If all you have is skill, but you don't have the mentality and you can't manage your time right, you're not going to be successful. If all you have is the mentality, but you don't have the skill, it doesn't matter. You're just a worthless moron that can show up and be there in a business, but you can't actually provide value. So you have to balance both of these things. But the foundation, the one you should focus on first is your mindset. That's why the very first few videos inside of the bootcamp are those mindset videos, how to become a G, how to manage your time, how to stay focused. If I was you, I would pay very, very close attention to my mindset, and I would shift from because most people, when you join the campus, you've lived in the outside world. And the outside world, as a young man, you're kind of like this lost little puppy, and people will like kind of show you what to do and tell you what to do. You have to instead lean into your problem. Say, okay, instead of like hoping for some outside sky power to come and solve my problems for me, I have to be the one who actually leans in, finds the problems, and solves the problems. What do I need to learn? And what do I need to do? How can I do this? Focus on what's going on and try and find solutions for yourself. Really, really move around inside of your mind and try and find solutions. You got to lean into solving problems. That's the first thing. The next thing you need to do is you can start managing your time more effectively. You have to realize, for most of you, the life that you want to live, the big, huge life and the freedom and the excitement and the joy and the travel and the meaning, the biggest thing keeping you from doing that, from achieving that and living that and experiencing that now, is your finances. And it's your inability to create value in the world. This is your number one problem to solve. If you solve this problem, it opens up all the options you want for you in your life. So if this is your number one priority, if this is your number one challenge you must overcome, you need to allocate as much time as you possibly can to solving this problem, right? People ask me all the time, hey, I spend this much time in the boot camp, but I have more time. Should I spend more time in the camp? Like, do I need to spend more time? And I always tell them to spend as much time as you possibly can working on this problem. Obviously, take care of your health. Make sure you maintain decent sleep. Make sure you're eating good food. Make sure you're training. Make sure you have like that dialed in. Don't do this at the sacrifice or the detriment of your like long-term health. But you should be investing as much free time as you possibly can into solving this problem, because you are not living the life you want because you don't know what you don't know and you don't have the ability to create lots of value. That should be your number one focus right now. You should spend as much time as you possibly can solving that problem. So take a real close hard look at your day, look at the time that you're wasting spending, on any kind of worthless entertainment. If you're spending any time sitting around watching some stupid show, playing video games, like watching porn, doing stupid stuff like that, just sitting around with loser friends, you need to cut all that crap out immediately. You can't afford to waste time on things like that. You have a major transformation you have to achieve, and the only way to do that is going to be through a Herculean amount of effort, right? So you got to take all that crap and all that wasted time that you spend scrolling through social media or whatever and invest all that time and energy instead into improving your situation, developing these skills, going through the process, doing the work, landing clients, et cetera, et cetera. You need to take all that time and invest it into the actual core problem in your life. So you should be training, you should be working on this problem. Yeah, spend 10, 20% of your time outside of that with family and friends and doing cool adventure stuff like that. But the bulk of your time should be invested. The bulk of your free disposable time should be invested into solving this problem because it's the most important thing, right? With that, if I was brand new, I would also be paying really close attention to the quality of the time that I spend working on copywriting. I have a whole section. There's a previous power up call about how I personally get into focus. I'm gonna make sure that's uploaded into the library after this call. I have a whole bunch of resources inside of the general resources. There's a how to fix your time, how to fix your brain video, a little mini training. Someone should probably link to that. There's someone in the chat right now. Go find the how to fix your brain thing and link to it so people can see it. If I was brand new, I would hyper pay attention to that. You're gonna have to find ways to remove distraction. I make sure I work my phone in the outside room. I would go through all the steps in order to narrow down and actually sit down and focus while I'm working. The quality of your work matters just as much as the quantity. And if I was brand new, and this was something I hyper focused on when I was first starting out, I realized it was going to be a difficult process. I had a friend show me some of the ropes. I had done some sales in the past. I knew the sales and marketing is difficult and it requires a lot of effort. I would do this, man. I would leave my phone in the other room and I would wake up at like 4 a.m. and I would sit down with a laptop on a really crappy desk and a really crappy chair. And I would sit there and I would work all day long. I'd get up, do some push-ups. Sure, I'd walk every so often, but I spent every waking moment I could on this and I was dialed in. I would do a 90-minute work session, 10-minute break over and over and over again all day long. If I had free time, I was either using it to improve my skills or I was prospecting more, right? Like I invested every single second of my time, but the focus of my time was extremely important. That how to focus, how to do a G work session, make that like your religion. You've got to do that, right? So absolutely get used to managing your time that way. And that's foundational, right? If you don't have that, at least that part of your mindset and that part of your time management skills dialed in, you'll never be successful. So get that dialed in from the very beginning. After that, you all are, again, if you are in the real world, there's a pretty good chance. In fact, the odds are overwhelming that you did not grow up in money. You didn't grow up around entrepreneurs. You didn't grow up running a business or a major large scale business. And you don't know how businesses work. You don't know how marketing works. You don't know how different marketing and growth systems work. You probably didn't learn any of that stuff. And you need that full context, right? Imagine you're a doctor, right? You need to understand a little bit of anatomy before they give you like a scalpel and start teaching you how to be a surgeon, right? So you can't just jump straight from knowing nothing to working with a client. You would show up and you'd probably do more harm than good, right? You need to learn and understand how businesses and marketing works. That's the first part. That's step one of the boot camp is business 101. What is a business? How do they grow? How do they grab attention? How do they monetize attention? You get the big picture. So you have enough context to understand the minutia of how to actually create marketing systems. You're going to be watching a lot of videos at this stage. You're going to be downloading a lot of information. You're not going to remember everything. And I'm here to, I want to help you guys understand this. When you're first going through the boot camp, you are brand new. I do not want you to hyper focus on remembering every single detail. Like you should be there with a notepad, writing down every single word I say. Just listen, get the big picture. As you do the missions, the actual practical exercises through the boot camp, and once you get to the end of the boot camp, that's when you're going to really cement and synthesize that knowledge. But right now, you're just downloading it into your brain. Like in the Matrix, when he escapes and they take him to the Nebuchadnezzar, and they're like teaching him kung fu. Like he downloads it into his brain. That's what you're going to be doing for the first part of the boot camp. Just watch the videos, perform the missions as best as you possibly can, but get through the boot camp. Like you need to consume that content because the real learning, the real work happens after you finish the boot camp. So that first step one of the boot camp, after you've done the mindset stuff, is going to be understanding business as a whole. What are businesses? How do they grow? How do they provide value to their people? What's a target market? How do they find attention? How do they monetize attention? You're going to understand marketing at a high level. Step number 2 is going to be where you learn how to actually architect and create the messaging behind all those marketing systems, right? This is where it's going to start to get hands-on, and this is where it's going to start to feel real difficult. I'm just warning you ahead of time. It's going to be kind of fun and easy watching videos and doing little missions. You're going to get to step 2. There's going to be a lot of information. There's going to be a lot of practices. You're going to be doing things you've never done before. You're going to be writing emails, sales pages, ads, something called fascinations. It's going to be a lot of work, right? anticipate the work. When you get to that part, it starts to feel difficult. Remind yourself, say, Andrew told me it was going to be difficult. This must mean I'm learning something valuable. For every time I overcome a difficult thing that feels difficult in the moment, I've defeated a loser who gave up at this point. So the further you go through the program and the better you get at these things, the more losers you leave behind and the less and less the competition gets. Once you reach the top, once you actually become skilled as a copywriter, if you do what I'm actually telling you to do right now, you reach a point where you have to turn businesses away. You have more people wanting to work with you than you have time to work with them. It's a wonderful feeling, and you guys should all get to that, but it only happens if you go through this process. So when you go through that step 2 process, realize it's going to be difficult. You're going to start writing emails. You're going to start writing landing pages. Understand that those first few things that you do are not going to be that great, right? The first few times you write this, it's going to be garbage, and that's okay. Like, you're going to be going through, you're going to be learning how to do this. Go through each mission, reiterate through it a couple of times until you see some improvement. But just understand, you're going to be doing some very difficult but very rewarding things, because in the step 2 section, that's where you learn how to actually create marketing systems, how to plan out the messaging, how to actually write the words, how to plan out all the steps. That's where you, at the end of step 1 and step 2, you can show up and you'll be able to look at a business, you'll be able to analyze their marketing, and you'll be able to find ways to improve either the messaging or add new systems to help them massively grow, right? You won't be necessarily good at executing that quite yet, but you'll at least understand what's going on, and be able to see some opportunities there. Once you finish step 2, then you move to step 3, which is where you learn how to partner with businesses. This is, again, once you get to step 2 might take you a couple days to get through. Step 3, you should be able to watch all the videos in about 24 hours, right? And one day you should be able to sit down and watch all the videos. And what you're going to learn in step 3 is how to pick a market out there, how to analyze the top players, how to see what they're doing to be successful, and then how to go find a bunch of other businesses in that same market or that same niche and bring those cool ideas that you've developed based on everything you've learned in the boot camp, based on what you've seen the top players do, show up, start a conversation, and partner with them and land them as a client. You're going to understand the whole process, from picking a market to reaching out to people to running your sales calls to managing that client and like landing that first project, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to learn all that in step 3. Again, just watch it all and then go start doing it. At the very end of the boot camp, there's a video called Your Path Forward Now. This is what you do. Once you finish the boot camp, that is your path forward. That is the next thing you're going to do. That is where the work truly starts. This is where you start to level up. This is akin to, you've gone through the boot camp. That's like going through and having a personal trainer teach you how to do all the movements, right? Like, okay, this is how you do a bench. This is how you do a weighted pull up, et cetera, right? Your path forward now is, okay, now it's time to go to the gym regularly. And now it's time to go do regular sessions, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, right? This is where the work truly starts. So at this point, you should have gone through, you should have changed how you're working. You should have learned how businesses work. You should actually have developed some ability to write. Now you're going to be doing the actual work of copywriting. The best way to level up your skills, and again, become the type of copywriter who's worth $10,000 a month or more, is to sit down, take one business at a time, right? Pick a market, analyze the top players, see what the biggest brands in that space are doing well, then find a small business in that space. And again, I would personally, and this is what I did, I started with a very small client. I knew that getting my first win was more important than getting a huge first win. So I found a really, really small, I reached out to a ton of people, but I reached out to a really, really small, the guy was like a spirituality, mastery, mentality coach, some type of thing that he did like that. I reached out to him. I wrote 2 emails for him for I think I got paid like $80 for my first deal. Like, that was my first deal as a copywriter. But I completely broke all of his sales records with those emails, sold out at like this live event that he was doing. It was awesome, right? I took that testimonial and I used that testimonial to then, like, $80, cool. Like, that's fun, but $80 is nothing, right? That's like lunch for one person. So I took the rest, but I took the win that I got there and I used that when I reached out to my next client. And I said, hey, I helped this guy break his sales records with this email sequence. Do you want me to show you what it was? Boom, I set up a call. I really, really hyper-focused on getting that first client. And I did that. The way I got that first client was I showed up in his inbox with a bunch of value. I showed him, because again, I didn't have any previous clients. I didn't have any previous experience in the space. I just showed up and I said, here, man, here's some really cool emails that I think would really work for you. And they were amazingly well-written emails for my time. And now I look back at them and they were probably garbage compared to what I can do now. But that's a good thing. That's how we all should be when we're improving, right? But they were way better than what he was currently doing, at least 10 times better than what he was currently doing. And I showed up with a level of value. He used it. I made a little bit of money, but the money is like nothing compared to what the win gave me. It gave me the opportunity to actually have a proven track record so that I could turn around and work with another client. So I worked with another client, built a funnel for him. I built a couple funnels for him, crushed it for them. They did really well. I took that experience and I leveraged that to work with a bigger client and a bigger client. And I kind of just leveraged my way up until I was making a lot of money. It was great. All it took was getting that first win though. So when you're first starting out, once you've gone through the boot camp, you're in the stage now where you're going to be massively working on improving your skills and your ability to create value. You're going to be creating what I call free value, which is like spec work. You're going to pick a business and you're going to write copy as if you worked for them already, right? You're going to say, hey, his landing page sucks. It's probably hurting his funnel. I'm going to rewrite his landing page, make a new version of his landing page for free, mainly to practice my skills and get good at this, but also to show up with value when I actually talk with the guy. And you can do that over and over and over again and constantly level up your skills. Just like in the gym, you go in, you train, you push yourself to failure, and then you go and you get, and then after you do the work in the gym, your muscles are all broken down. Then you have to refuel, you have to recover, you have to make sure you get your protein in, you got to make sure you're sleeping, you got to make sure you do that sort of stuff, and the muscle is repaired, and you get better and better each time, right? It's the same thing with this. You're going to sit down, you're going to create spec work. As you're doing spec work, like let's say you decided to write a landing page for a prospect you were thinking about reaching out to. You're going to start writing it, and you're going to realize pretty quickly, oh man, I forgot about headlines. Like I want to make sure the headline grabs attention. How do I do that? Well, I remember you talked about this in the boot camp, and you're going to go back to the boot camp, rewatch the video. Maybe you'll go through something we call a swipe file and other resources and use that to improve your skill. But as you're doing these projects, you're going to be leveling up your skills. You're going to be finding a gap or a problem or something that's difficult for you when you're actually doing the work. And then you're going to go back and refresh yourself on the education, refresh yourself on different resources that you've gone through to level up that particular ability. So then the next time you do a project, you don't really have to work on the headline, but now you're like, okay, how do I make sure I include testimonials? And where do I put testimonials? And you'll go back, and each project you do will make you better and better, so that in the matter of time, a matter of probably a week or two, if you're actively doing serious projects and you're actively returning back to it, you've gone from someone who can kind of like create value for a business to someone who can legitimately show up to someone like I did, my first client, my small business, and help them break records because you are very carefully going through and you're improving your skills with each repetition that you do. So once you land that first client and you level up, game changes. But the process itself is very difficult. Along the thing I've just laid out, again, from starting out, changing your expectations, to learning all this stuff, to going through this process of practicing and reaching out and improving your marketing skills day in and day out and finding that first client, like that's a very difficult process. And there's going to be a million little challenges along the way. Once you get to that first client, once you land that first client, that should be your absolute focus. Once you have a client, you should probably slow down your outreach significantly and just focus on getting them results, because that is the pivotal moment. Once you get that first client, it's not enough that they just pay you a little bit of money or they decide to work with you or whatever. Like that's basically not important. What's extremely important is if you can turn around and actually create amazing results for them, deliver a ton of value. They'll want to keep working with you. They'll say, hey, we love this project you did here. We're trying to grow our business over here. Can you help with that? And basically, you're going to have a client for life, which you can take all the way up to 100,000. Like a good client, like you can make 100, like from zero. In 1 year with a new client, like if I had stayed with that old guy that I had, I could have taken him all the way up to 100K in money paid to me in a year easily, right? So a good client that you've earned, you've done that first project with, and you've gotten amazing results will pay you six figures, right? So that's one thing. But also having that result now makes you a verified copywriter. You've made your bones in the industry, as they say, and you can go around and land bigger and bigger clients. Like that should be your absolute focus. So when you land that first client, slow down your outreach, slow down your sales stuff, and hyper focus on making sure, doing everything you possibly can to make sure you get them results. Now, the good news for you guys is you don't have to go through this process alone, right? If all you had was what I just told you and a bunch of videos, like sure, you could do it, but it'd be pretty difficult. There's a lot of questions you're going to have along the way. There's a lot of opportunities for you to learn different things. I'm going to show you how to use AI to massively speed up a lot of the process and teach you guys how to learn faster, how to write better, how to create better stuff, how to get your stuff reviewed. All that stuff is covered inside of the boot camp. So there's a bunch of cool resources with AI that you guys have. And also you have each other. You have the fellow students. There's a whole bunch of chats here. You can ask questions. You can feedback. If you spend time asking questions and you ask good questions, like that will help kind of speed up your process. And also if you spend time answering questions, it helps you synthesize and better understand the information. So performing that is going to massively speed things up. You're going to have these daily power-up calls every single day. I hop on about the same time. and I give you guys lessons. I give you guys insights. Today was like the big roadmap. Usually it's about different mentality, mindsets you have to have, different important things you need to remember in copywriting, how to architect different parts of the funnel, how to show up with value, how to get through hard times, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to have continual help to kind of keep you on the right path with these power calls. And also, you guys can ask me questions. There's a channel in here inside of the campus where you can go into the Ask Professor Andrew channel. If you have questions, you've asked other students, you've gone through frequently asked questions, you've done all the steps in like how to ask questions, which is one of those foundational first videos. If you've done all of that and you have a legitimate, serious question about how to apply the stuff to a very specific situation, and you show me that you have taken some effort and have your own personal analysis and you have put in effort, I will answer your questions. There is no roadblock you face between now and becoming a $10,000 a month copywriter that I cannot help you solve if you are willing to put in the effort, right? I don't help losers. I don't help people who just want to come in and like have me like kiss it better and then they can go back out into the world. I help people who are serious about solving problems, who lean in. So if that's you and you have questions, go into the Ask Professor Andrew channel, ask me, and I will move heaven and earth to make you successful. I want you guys all to win. I personally do all this because my good friend Andrew, who helped me significantly in my life, asked me to. And the other reason I do this is because I cannot describe to you the sense of fulfillment I get in helping young men become better and become free. I've lived as a slave, let's say. I've lived as a poor man, and I've lived as a man who's financially free. And I know the difference. I know the pain you guys go through when you can't buy things you need to buy, when you're worried about and stressed about financial things, when you can't quite live the life or become the man you want to be because you don't have enough money or enough options. I know what that's like. And I want to help as many men as possible break free from that, because I think the world needs strong men who are free and happy and capable and wealthy and a positive light in the world. I want to spread that positivity. I want to help as many of you as I possibly can. So I give up sleep. I give up a whole bunch of stuff in order to help you guys, and I'm happy to do it. If you show me that you are willing to put in the hard work, if you show me that you're willing to avoid the trap of looking for the easy button, but you're instead willing to do what it takes to become successful and become that man, I will do everything I possibly can to break every single obstacle you face and help you make it happen. So guys, this has been a fun call. Normally we'll do a little bit more Q&A, we'll do a little bit more back and forth, but I think we've been able to cover some important and valuable information here. So, just so you guys know, the recording of this will be posted in that live Power Up Call channel. I will also upload this into the resource inside the Learning Center. You guys can go back and rewatch these. Me and the team are currently working to get all the past Power Up Calls that I've ever done inside of the Learning Center. It's going to take some time because, 300 and something crazy ones. We've done a lot of these, so we've got a lot of Power Up Calls to add in this. But if you want to watch the whole thing, the replay will be posted inside of the Learning Center. It will also be posted inside of the channel Live Power Up Calls. So guys, it's been great. Enjoyed working with you guys. Enjoyed talking to you guys. We've got a lot of fun things to do today. It's a wonderful Saturday full of opportunities to move forward and get some cool things done. So guys, let's go out. Let's get it. Let's conquer. I'll talk with you guys soon.